Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Small Business Stories. You know me, you know the voice, Dr. LL, Loralyn Mears, here coming to you live from New Jersey. And as you know, every week we bring you an entrepreneur from, well, the different corners of the earth. And this one I'm really excited about because he is a fellow Canadian. He is the Bob Ross of Canada. And for those of you thinking, the artist guy? Yeah, the artist guy. Only here we've got Tim Packer. Tim, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited about our talk today.
Oh, and I love how you described, and if you got the intro, I always try to create the visual experience because a lot of the folks that listen to our podcast, they're doing it in their car or whatever else. And well, we hope that they're not on their phones watching the YouTube Vizio version, right? So we want to create the visual. And I'm looking at here at a stunning image. Can you paint the visual? No pun
Yeah,
intended.
well, so for
Um,
me, my
yeah.
what I'm basically known for is landscapes of the Canadian landscape, usually Ontario, Quebec. But my main thing is painting the quality of light, and often light filtering through the trees, both in fall and autumn, and that's kind of become my signature style, and that's what I've been known for.
And it's incredible. And so what we're looking at right now is a beautiful autumnal scene, and there's that little spark of sun, and it's a very different vibe than the Thomas Kincaid. I really liked a lot of the Thomas Kincaid art, but what you do, I see, is it bring a richness and a depth between I guess, what we see in the foreground and in the background. So for those of you that don't have the visual experience, it's lovely. It's autumn. Tim's sitting there, and he's in front of this beautiful forest scene, and you just want to do that, like, and go in, right, have Srinyoko, right, forest bathing.
Yeah. I'm a happy painter and I paint happy paintings. And that's what I hear kind of over and over again from people who like my work is that it just brings them a feeling of happiness and peace. And then surprisingly, over the last few years, I've been reached out to by a number of people in the armed services or first responders who suffer from PTSD and have said that when they look at my work, it just kind of brings a feeling of calm and peace over them. So that makes me very happy.
Oh, that's what it's about, right? And then actually with this episode, for those of you that are thinking, no, we're not going to do a paint by numbers here, this is how you set it up. We're going to get into the business behind art, because in the wake of AI, in all the competition out in the world, how can you go and do what you love and make money at it, right? That's really the thrill of entrepreneurship. So let's roll it back a bit. Let's talk about how you got into painting. When did that all start?
It's a bit of a long story, but I'll
Oh,
try
we
to
want
make
to
it
hear it.
very
We got
quick.
some
So,
time.
okay, so I started out as a kid. I knew when I was like 12 years old, I wanted to be an artist. And the wisdom back then was, well, you have to be a commercial artist, what they called back then. Now, what we refer to as a graphic designer. And I was lucky. I went to a high school that had a good commercial art program. I took that. I took graphic design in college for 2 years. And then at 19, I kind of graduated and was ready to take on the world. And my goal was to be an illustrator. So people like Norman Rockwell, Bernie Fuchs, Maxfield Parrish, they were my heroes. But what happened is over the next couple of years, I just ended up with a couple of very low level entry positions that were kind of mind numbing and soul sucking. And I also realized that there was a lot of people around me who were much more talented than I was, and that the dream that I had was likely not going to come to fruition. And the Toronto Police Force was hiring, and I was tired of being a starving artist. So I thought, let me try this. So I applied, I ended up getting hired, and then that led to an 18-year career as a police officer. And I ended up being a detective in our commercial crime unit, the fraud unit at a headquarters in Toronto. And I actually walked away from art for about a 10-year period. I really didn't do any painting. And then gradually in my 30s, I started to feel that itch to kind of get back. And then two things happened actually in my mid 30s that really kind of changed my life. The one was that was the first time I really became kind of aware of the whole theory of the growth mindset. The idea that talent is not something that's fixed, that's kind of bestowed on us. Talent is just the sum total of your skills, knowledge, creativity, and experience, and they can all be improved. And at the same time, a good friend of mine was killed in the line of duty on the police force. And my goal was, well, I'll do my 35 years on the job, and then I'll have another 20 or 30 years to pursue art. And then when my friend was killed, it just really brought home that the only guarantee is now. And then also coupled with the whole idea of the growth mindset, me thinking, well, I knew I wasn't talented enough back then, but maybe I just wasn't talented enough yet. And maybe if I really applied myself, I could become talented enough to actually make a living from my art. So I decided I still wasn't 100% bought into this whole growth mindset, but I thought I'm going to live my life for a year as though I believe it. So that meant, scheduling my painting time first, painting 3 times a week, focusing on the things I knew that I was not that good at, but that I needed to become good at to become a great artist. And a funny thing happened. By the end of that year, my art had improved a lot. I'd got into a couple juried shows. I'd actually sold a few paintings. And so I just doubled down to the point where 3 years later, my wife and I were talking about not if I would leave the police force to paint full time, but when. And this was in 1999. So we thought January 1st, 2000, that's the perfect time to start this new phase of my life. So yeah, so I quit my job, cashed in my pension, struggled for a few years, but eventually found my current voice that has given me a very, very good living. Um, and then in 2019, I had what I called the year of the thyroid from hell, where I almost died twice. And during that period, when that happens, you never know how you're going to feel. But what was really surprising to me, and actually very was a good thing, was while I was lying on the gurney in both those moments and thinking, wow, this is going to be really hard on my wife. It's going to be really hard on my boys. But I was just overcome with an overwhelming feeling of gratitude that I had been given the life that I dreamed of. I'd been able to accomplish all of the dreams that I had. And I thought, like, if this is it, then whoever's responsible, thank you. Um, and then over the course of that year, while I was not really able to paint, and the one thing that was nice is I thought I had no regrets that, and most people they talk about at the end of their life, there's a ton of regrets of the things they wish they had. And usually it's the things they didn't do that they wish they had tried. And then I realized over the course of that year, there was one small regret I had. And for about 8 years, I'd been putting content out on YouTube, trying to help other artists that were trying to make a living from their art. And it was just done as a side hustle, as a bit of a passion, not even a side hustle, because I had no intent of monetizing it, just as a passion project to kind of give back to art. And I had heard from, a number of artists that, my content had really helped them and they were now having successful careers as artists. But I realized I was kind of playing it small, and just decided that if I got healthy, I was really going to change the focus, not to just cranking out more paintings and making lots more money, but to really putting my primary focus on actually helping other artists who shared that same dream. And so then that's when I launched the Tim Packer Art Academy online. And yeah, we've been 5 years now. We're going to hit $600,000 in sales of my online courses later this year. And the best part is, I have a number of artists that enrolled in the programs that are now actually very successful, making a living from their art. And yeah, and then the latest thing is I have a book, You Can Sell Your Art, that's coming out, which is a step-by-step guide of how to make a livable income from your art. And so that's kind of where I am now. It's
Well,
a lot.
okay, right. It is a lot. So there's lots and lots to unpack in there. So first, we're delighted to hear you are on the other side of your thyroid from hell year.
Everything's good now.
That's good. This is what we want to hear. We know that a lot of folks have struggles and there's all kinds of things. It's as if entrepreneurship wasn't hard enough, right? Like, yeah, let's throw this little health issue at you, on top of everything else, right? So that's
Yep.
that's the thing. You've got an online institute offering courses and training, which is very successful, and you've had it for a while. And I think that's incredible. So we want to talk a little bit more about that as well. So maybe we should start there with your online institute. And then the fact that you're helping artists. I mean, that's just huge. I am drawn to people who are trying to make a difference and help each other. I
Yeah.
don't think there's enough support in the world. I don't think there's enough kindness in the world. And I think people have got to do more to give back and just help each other, right? We need to lean
Totally agree.
more
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
entrepreneurship is freaking hard.
Yeah. And I'm just going to interject for a second too. And I
Oh, yeah.
believe that philosophy of always trying to give more than you get, I mean, people think, well, that's being altruistic. It's like, no, do it because you're selfish, because karma is practical. If you give more than you get consistently, and you always try to out over deliver to people, you will get way more than what you were going for. Where those who are always trying to squeeze that last little bit out of other people, getting the most they can, they don't achieve the same level of success. So I mean, do this. Yes, it feels good, but it's also practical as a business strategy, I believe. It's certainly worked for me.
I am just like sending out big hearts for those of you that not seeing the visual there, because that's just what it is. I believe wholeheartedly in two parts of this, and we're just going to get into this a little bit side. And
Yeah.
for those of you that are listening, thinking, "Oh, there she goes again, being woo woo, alt left," well, then skip over this part. But I don't think so, because I think it really matters to entrepreneurship, because I've seen the shift in myself and where my success is. Number one, you talk about karma. I really do believe that we have to keep putting deposits in the
Yeah.
karma bank, because one day we need to withdraw. Now,
Yep.
you've talked about your story with having a lot of health issues around your thyroid. That's a withdrawal, right? If you're there and you're ready to give back and the universe is recognizing you've got more to give, there's something to take out, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a cancer survivor, domestic
Oh,
violence
yeah.
survivor. So I get all of that. You got to keep putting into the karma bank. I also believe the whole thing of gratitude.
Yeah.
I I wake up in the morning and I walk my dog. It's the first thing. No cell phones, no nonsense. It's me, her, the neighborhood, and the deer and the bunnies and all the rest of that. And it's all about, wow, what am I grateful for today? How am I going to start the day off? And this level of openness, I think, contributes to that growth mindset you talked about, that it just gives back and it starts the day on such a positive note. Anyway, let me be quiet on that. Let me have you react to that, because you're the star of the show here.
Yeah, and it's pretty tough to be. There's a lot of people who are angry, people who are kind of, oh, the world's not fair, that the world doesn't appreciate art and you can't make a living. It's just all this negativity kind of stuff and just kind of mad at the world, right? Because things haven't worked out exactly the way they wanted to. But if you approach life from a perspective of being grateful for all of the things that you do have, that you should be thankful for, it's pretty tough to be angry and ticked off, and and also having that kind of closed mindset. And I honestly believe too that, I'm a huge believer in mindset, the thought that, if you believe you can do it, you can do it. If you believe you can't do it, you're right. I mean, that's Henry Ford's famous statement. But it also comes down to your mindset is hugely influenced by the five people you spend the most time with. So choose those people wisely.
Bingo, bingo. Having made bad choices in and around my business, being surrounded by people who are like, "Oh, Loralyn, that's not good enough. That's not going to work. You suck. This is terrible. This isn't working. I hate this. I don't know what you're doing. You're not doing, like, you're not doing the right things. Not, hey, I'm a partner in all of this. What if we do this? Let me take the lead on this and run with this." So I've
I
eliminated.
have to apologize too. I've got
You
a
got a
bit of a
sneeze
cough and
coming?
a cold. I've got a
Oh,
cough right now, so apologize for that. But
don't worry. Don't let it, like, let it out, right?
yeah,
It's all those
yeah,
lovely germs this time of year. But as I've gotten rid of all of the negative people around my life and dug more into mindset, into gratitude, things are happening that are much more positive, and I feel better. I'm able to create more. I don't create the way you do.
yep.
Space is different, but it's essential. You've got to have
The
those
creativity has
unblocked.
many, many forms.
But you've got to be unblocked, is the key thing,
Yeah.
and not dragged down by the most negative people in the world. You got to be surrounded by people who are like, "You can do this. I
Yep.
know it's hard, but you've got talent. Dig in, keep going, Tim," right? That's what people want to see. They want to
And
hear.
especially if you can surround yourself not only with people who believe in the growth mindset, but people who have lived it and have actually experienced the success. And so you can actually see that, yes, it's possible, right? It's not just woo woo, a bunch of people sitting around theoretically saying it's possible. But when you can surround yourself with people who have been there and done that and are living it, that really makes it real to you. They go, okay, well, if they can do it, I can do it. I remember one of the gallery owners that I was with a number of years ago, but like, yeah, he said, like too many people are always thinking, well, why them? Why them? Like for success instead of why not me? Why not me? Right?
Bingo. Now, the path that you've chosen, and we're going to come back to all those other
Yeah.
things that I queued up. The path you've chosen is not easy as an entrepreneur. Art, it's subjective, it's difficult, it's competitive, although it kind of sounds familiar, like every other entrepreneur saying, yeah, that sounds exactly like my lane. How do you stay open so that you can create and bring all these wonders of Canadian forests and imagery in and not be stuck and saying, oh God, today's not the day. I don't feel like it. I can't pick up my brush. What do you do?
Well, I have a hack that that I've used for years because it's almost like you said you put in and you draw from the karmic well. You also put in and withdraw from the creative well. And I can always tell when someone is not a painter because they say, "Oh, you paint all day. That must be so relaxing." And it's like, It's challenging, it's rewarding, it's frustrating, and it's draining. I am never as focused at anything as I am when I'm painting. And some days, the thought of just going into the studio and painting for 5 hours seems overwhelming. And the hack that I've come up with is I promise myself I'll do a half an hour. That's all I have to do is go and paint for a half an hour. And if at the end of that half hour, I still feel like I don't want to paint, I give myself permission to put the brush down. I've only ever put the brush down twice in 25 years, but just committing to the half hour, that I can commit to. That will get me up off of the couch in my family room and into my studio. And I used to use that same hack with working out. It's kind of like, the hardest part about working out is putting on your shoes and driving to the gym, right? And I used to do the same thing. It's like, okay, well, I'm just going to commit to driving to the gym and walking in the doors and give myself permission that if I still don't feel like it, I can turn around and come home and I'm not going to beat myself up over it. But when you actually, the hardest thing is just getting there. And then for me, within 15 minutes of painting, it's like, okay, the mojo's back, it's flowing. It's like the thought of quitting doesn't even come to my mind. But it's just making yourself commit to something that's bite-sized that you go, okay, I can do that. And then if you still don't feel it, then allowing yourself to just walk away. And then by the same token, if you're walking away 4 days out of 6, then you might want to rethink what it is you think you should be doing for a living.
Bingo. Because I always talk about that too. Once, nah, it's a random. Twice, nah, it's a coincidence. Three times or more, it's a pattern. Then
Yeah.
what's happened here? You need to really look closely, as you said. Now, so okay, so that addresses the creativity challenge, which I don't think is that different than what entrepreneurs face when they've got the mountain. Today's the
Yep.
paperwork day, today's the taxes day, today's all of that sort of stuff. You just, I got to get through it. I got a difficult call with a client. She's not happy, whatever else, right? All these things are real and we have to work through them. Now, I want to turn to your online academy because that is booming. And there's a lot of folks in our listenership who have online courses or who aspire to create online courses. Can you talk a little bit about that experience? So nice saying the abouts in the same way, and no one
Yeah.
thinks like you're weird, you have an accent. It's like, no, you
We
do.
don't say it funny.
I agree, right? It's not supposed to be said. Um, that you just talk about that experience, which you've learned, and the advice you want to share with our folks who are building online course businesses.
Okay, well, the one thing I would suggest to anybody who's looking to build an online course business is it's much easier if you've already done certain things. If you've already achieved success in the thing that you are going to be teaching, and you are known for being successful in that, that's one. And the other thing is, if you have already helped other people achieve success in that thing, and if you've done those two things, then people are much more likely to actually buy into the thought that, yeah, you could probably help them do it. But there are a lot of people out there, the 22-year-old life coach, it's kind of like, I don't know, like, so I think you need to be realistic. You need to go out and like, not just chase down, oh, this topic is really hot right now in online learning. It's like, well, what makes you more capable than anyone else of actually helping people. And again, the two things, if you've actually been there and done it and achieved great success, and if you've already helped other people on their way to success and you can demonstrate that and you've got that social proof, then that's three-quarters of the journey. But if you don't have that, all the marketing in the world is, you're just on a hamster wheel. Not only that, the question is, well, what makes you think that you are going to be able to help people if you haven't already achieved it yourself and you haven't already helped others achieve it? So that's the first thing I would say. And then if you are going to do that, if you've ticked both those boxes, then it's like, okay, just it's not like if I build it, they will come. It's like now you have to market that course. That's the one thing I didn't realize, that I thought, creating my courses would be most of the work. Most of the work is around actually marketing the courses and making people aware of it. And then you need to kind of understand about, depending on what type of thing you're teaching, is it going to be like the 30-second and 60-second ads, or is it going to be more the long form content? And that's the one thing that we have found. The more complex the issue is that you are going to be teaching. So for me, it's teaching artists how to actually improve their skills, knowledge, creativity, and experience to the point that they can create work with a unique voice that the public actually wants to buy, and then how to actually make a decent living out of that. I've found that if I try to sell that I can help them doing that in a minute or a minute and a half, I sound like I'm selling snake oil. I need 10 to 15 to 20-minute YouTube videos where I can actually provide real value for people, and actually give them information that they are going to immediately take, and to get them to the point to the buy-in that, yeah, I think this guy can really help me. And so we've shifted from the first couple of years really focused on Facebook ads and spent a lot of money on masterminds on actually doing Facebook ads, and actually got pretty good at it, where we were still getting like a 2-to-1 return on investment for our ads. But we're now doing $10,000 a month in online sales strictly from organic content, and it's the long form video. So that's the one thing I would say, that if it's something you have that you can teach people quickly, then the ad the ad is a way to go. I've got a friend of mine who's in the mastermind. They teach viral video effects, and it's a course you can take in a weekend that will allow you to do some pretty amazing things with your social media content. And so that's something where the 60-second ads work. They did last October, I think they did $1 million in sales on their $79 course. But it's a course where it's a kind of $79 product. In a weekend, you are going to gain these tremendous skills to do this stuff. I'm more, if you join my art academy, hopefully at a certain point and you do the work, you're going to be able to make a living from your art. But it might be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road, right? It's not like taking a weekend workshop where now you can just do this amazing stuff. So I need longer to get people to actually buy in and trust me, and then actually take the leap of purchasing one of my courses or joining my mastermind.
Now, the first question around that, this is a friend of yours that offers this viral video weekend thing.
It's an online course. Yes,
Right.
Tyler
You want to
Tomatich.
promote them? I'm saying here's an opportunity, because I know a lot of people are looking at that. Do you want to offer the?
Yeah, his name is Tyler Tomatich, Tometich. If they just Google him. Yeah, I met him in a mastermind. We were in a mastermind for course creators, and he was just starting, and he was actually a video FX guy in Hollywood, and then decided, I'm going to try and teach this stuff and came up with this course. And he ended up partnering with another guy in the mastermind, the two of them together. But I met him when he had just crossed his first 100,000 in sales. And later that year, he crossed 1 million in sales from his online courses. And so I'm sure if you just Google him and his creating viral effects, you'll see, but you'll also see a really good example of short content marketing for that type of a thing. If you've got a course where, I think it's probably total only 6 hours that can teach you amazing skills to do something. If you've got that kind of a thing, there's an incredible amount of money to be made, and that type of advertising works well. But again, for me, I tell people this is more like becoming a doctor. right? Like we all, it does, you don't become a doctor overnight. It takes, about 10 years. And not only that, we all know more successful doctors than we know successful artists. Um, so it's not going to be, oh, take my course and next year you're going to be making $70,000 as an artist. It's like, take my course and you will have the tools to eventually get to that point if you're willing to put in the work.
I think that that speaks a lot to the entrepreneurship journey. I have a lot of conversations with entrepreneurs, with folks like yourself, my podcast guests, where so many people have been sold the bill of goods. Yo, 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 bros
Yep.
and Lambos, put one video out, whoa, 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 you're viral. That's it. And then the millions come in, you got the Rolex and the everything else. Not how it works, right? Not
No.
exactly.
Passive income. Oh, I just love
Yeah, yeah.
love that. It's like,
Oh,
well, passive income is a real thing, but it doesn't come at the beginning. It comes, if at all, at the end, after you've already become very successful and become very well known and you've got a successful business going. And then you can get to the point where you have passive income, but it's still it's like being a farmer, right? You still need to tend the crops. It's not like you just walk away and the money just comes in. It's like, and it's all hard. I guess that's the other thing I would say, that anyone that tells you it's easy being an entrepreneur, because that's the other thing too I want to put out there for artists. If you decide you want to be an artist, you're an entrepreneur by definition. So it's like you better accept that. But the great thing about it too is you can learn from everyone's entrepreneurship journey, because it the only thing that's different as an artist is the product that we're creating, right? And it's your creativity. It doesn't really matter. Everything else applies. But the one thing that is consistent is it's hard and it's going to be difficult. And you are going to reach points where you're thinking, oh, wow, I don't know if I should do this. Maybe I should just go and get a job. And you know what? For some people, maybe they should. But the reason that the reason I believe that it's worth it to put in all the hard work that it takes to become a professional artist is I love creating art more than anything else in the world. I would love to be able to get up and do that almost every day. There's three ways I could do that. I could have married someone who was rich and was supportive, but that did not happen. She's supportive, but not enough for me to just go, fulfill yourself. You can win the lottery, or you can figure out a way to actually make a living from creating the work that you love to create. And then that becomes your job, but it is still work. And one other myth that I want to just blast, and one saying that I think is responsible for so many people giving up or just being mad at the world, is that whole idea is that if you do what you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. It's like I like to change that to, if you hope to do what you love for a living, you better be willing to work harder at that than anything you've ever done in your life. Because people take the corollary of that as, well, if I don't want to do this, I shouldn't have to do it. This feels like work, right? Well, there's a lot of stuff that goes in, even for me being a professional artist, that does not involve me standing up at the easel with a paintbrush painting. I'm running a business. There's marketing, there's just shipping of work, there's creating new courses, I have like there's just everything that goes into running a business. And it's not all fun. There's stuff you have to do, and you need to be willing to do that if you want to be successful.
ah, amen. Right? It takes work. That's exactly it. The passive income, well, it's not exactly passive for the first 3 to 5 years that you've got to put
No.
into it, all that work. And oh, the work isn't, yeah, I can set my hours and do 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day. No, it's midnights, week after week after week after weekend, after this, after that. Then, I mean, I'm seeing that. I'm coming
Yep.
in at the 5 year mark, and now we're like, woohoo, okay, we're starting to do. But we've had a bunch of pivots. I've had people's staff changes because they don't believe in what I'm doing. They're negative. They're this. They're that. Like all the things. Just trying to. What's my stride? How do I get there?
Yep.
It's it's
And you'll never find, the other thing too is that you will never find anyone who is willing to work as hard for your business as you do. And so it's unrealistic, first of all, to expect that. But I mean, it's like I've been doing this is now my 26th year doing this full time. I've been very, very successful. My son works for me full time, and he looks after a lot of the logistical stuff. He does all our printing, because I also do limited edition prints that we self-publish and sell kind of across North America. And he looks after running the back end of the Art Academy and just a lot of stuff. but he works 35 hours a week. I still work 60 hours a week. I don't take weekends off unless there's something going on. And I mean, that's the beauty of doing something where you love and you're passionate about it. But it's like, yeah, that passive income, I don't know if I'll ever get to totally passive income. And I don't think I will want to, because I mean, I used to paint on my vacations. So now we're finally at the stage with the Art Academy, because that has been taking up, probably 80% of my time and even my son's time over the last 4 years. And now we're at the stage where, yeah, and that was a lot of learning, trying things, finding what works. And now we're at a stage where, okay, we're pretty solid with what we need to do to keep growing this. And that's now only going to take about 20% of my time. So I've been back in the studio about 80% of the time painting, really just for the last couple months. And it's been incredibly exciting and rewarding. I said to my wife the other day, I said, "Oh, I'm just so excited because I'm excited about getting up tomorrow to paint." Because painting is just like working out. If you've been in a really good workout schedule and all of a sudden you don't work out for 6 months, it's really hard to get back into it. And I really had to force myself to get back into the painting until all of a sudden I found myself like, I can't wait to get up tomorrow and get down in the studio and paint. So I'm really excited about kind of going forward now, because now the Art Academy is, like I say, 20% of our time on that. I can get back to doing what really makes me the most money, which is actually painting, which also creates the best content for us. So when I've been painting, I do the little reveals of the paintings and have little kind of jump shot videos, like a reel for that. And just in the last few weeks, like I've had one post get over 100,000 views on Facebook and a few getting up into 60, 70,000 views. And the great part of that is that content is just the sawdust that's the byproduct of me when I'm painting. And when I'm not painting, I'm not creating that content. So, yeah.
Amazing. So, as we're getting close to the end of the podcast, I want to just touch on AI, because AI is really coming for everybody.
Yeah.
Anyone who thinks, no, 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 I'm absolutely immune to AI, think again. And in this era where the AI bots are unbelievable in what they can create, they're rendering images, they're doing this, they're doing that. What do you say to artists who are just rising and thinking, wow, I don't know if I can compete versus AI art? What's your message?
Well, I think it's kind of like the same thing artists were all upset when photography came about, right? It's like, well, if there's photography. So the whole idea is that two things. I think a lot of people are getting sick of AI generated stuff. And I think there is a real kind of demand and appreciation for something that was touched by the hand of an artist or a craftsman, as opposed to something that was just generated from from the AI, which is basically AI is just stealing everything that's ever been done and then putting it together very quickly, right? They're not actually creating new things. It's actually just stealing from what's been done and putting it out in a different manner. But I think that there is there's a real hunger out there from the audience of people who actually buy art, for example, or any creative endeavor where it's been done by a human. And so I think that's important to do it. And I think that's also why potentially my posts are doing well, because it's showing me actually painting. I actually had one of my paintings, he said, "Oh, that's AI rubbish." And it's like, I'm sorry, I've been painting this way for 25 years. It's kind of, and he's like, "Well, show us your process." And it's like, check out my other posts, right? I show for every painting I do show the in progress stuff. But I don't think anything will ever match what humans can create at the highest level, when they have a unique voice. Whether it's an author, whether it's a painter, whether it's a singer, you can do all this stuff that I think AI at best will only ever kind of reach kind of the kind of middle common denominator in terms of quality, creativity, originality, all that kind of stuff. But it will never reach the same level that an individual human can. But it takes time, right? The problem is you can put something in and AI will spit it out kind of 30 seconds later. But I also think AI can be incredibly helpful for us. I'm not against AI. Like, I use it now just for a simple example. Like, when I do a YouTube video, if I do a 15-minute YouTube video, I used to have to, after I'd recorded and edited it, I'd have to watch through it and mark down all the timestamps and the description and all of that kind of stuff. And that would take me probably about 3 hours per video to do all of the stuff that I needed to include in the description and all the rest of it, the keywords and everything to give it the best chance to be seen. Whereas now I just go in on CapCut and get it to give me a transcript of the video. I export it as a text file. I then just go to ChatGPT and says, here's the transcript of my video. It's 12 minutes and 30 seconds long, so it knows how long it is. Please give me the timestamps, write a description for me, and suggest a bunch of keywords for me. And it'll do that for me in about 20 seconds. And it's taking all of my content and it's just doing something that if I had an employee, they would do. Right. I also find it can be really helpful too in terms of, writing copy for ads and things like that, right? Where it's like, okay, I know what I want to say, but I'm not a copywriter. That came home to me hugely when I was on these masterminds, when we had people there who were professional copywriters, and they were just able to say what I wanted to say in a way that was much more likely to resonate with the audience or whatever. So I'll use that often in terms of kind of when I'm trying to write a hook for a reel. It's like, here's the pain point I want to address, and then I'll put it in as like, give me 10 hooks potentially, and then it's like, oh, that one resonates, and then I'll often tweak it so it sounds more like me. But we can use it to do a lot of the things we're not good at. But I don't think using it as the source of the creativity is a very short-sighted thing that in the end, because then all you need to do is write good prompts. If you write, like anyone can learn in a weekend how to write good prompts and then create whatever. And then it just becomes a commodity, right? So I still think that there always will be room and a demand for things that are created by an actual person. And then that becomes, the more that you can actually have a unique voice in whatever you do, the more successful you are going to be, and the more you will stand above just the average.
And all the AI bots that are
Yeah,
communicating bots saying that
yeah,
exactly. So Tim,
yeah.
where can we find you online? Where can we find your academy?
That's it. www.timpackerartacademy.com. And it's Packer like Green Bay Packers. So no extra R's or D's in there. Yeah, if they go there, and they can also download, my new book is coming out, but if they go to my website, they can download 5 free chapters from the book. And it's not necessarily it's not the first 5, but it's the 5 that I thought would have the most impact on people. So hopefully even those 5 chapters will be able to help them, because we didn't really touch on it, but I'll just finish briefly saying the main reason most artists are struggling is they have no idea the game they're playing. There's not one unified art world. There's a bunch of different art villages. They all have different gatekeepers, different people who are customers, different things that they value. And most artists don't even understand that. And it's kind of like, it's like football. If you showed up at a European football practice wearing a helmet, shoulder pads, and everything else, and weighing 280 pounds as a lineman, they wouldn't even let you on the field because it's a different game you're playing. And in the art world, there's a number of different villages. I think most artists that I run into, they want to live in the village where actual people buy their art and take it and hang it in their homes or hang it in their offices or whatever. That's a very different village from the world dominated by postmodernism and publicly funded galleries and art that's written about and everything else. And so that's what I teach in my academy, is how to actually make a living by going to the easel, painting work that you love to paint in a way and with enough skill and connection that people actually want to give you money to take your art home and hang it on their walls.
Oh, fantastic. So, last question. It's our signature question. I typically ask my guests, and now we're, I don't know, north of 260, 270 guests that I've asked this question. If we peeked into your closet, Tim, up there in Ontario, Canada, and said, is there a pair of shoes, a pair of footwear that personifies who you are? But I might flip the question for you. Is there a pair of shoes, an accessory, something that you wear when you paint? Because you're like, oh, it's my good luck charm. It brings me focus. Talk to us. Either question.
It would be golf shoes. Because I am an avid golfer. I love golf. I play a lot, but I'm a 20 handicapper. And I've been golfing for over 50 years and I still have a 20 handicap. And I love playing bad golf. And the reason I wanted to use that is because there are a lot of artists out there who love painting the same way that I love playing golf. The thing is, I know I'm a 20 handicapper. I know I'm never going to make a living from my golf. Um, but there is that thought within artists that, well, I put 50 years into painting. I should be rewarded from that. And it's like, no, you've just spent 50 years painting mediocre paintings. I've spent 50 years playing mediocre golf. The world's not going to reward either one of us for that. It takes an entire different level of commitment and hard work if you want to actually make a living from the thing that you started off doing as a hobby.
Oh, excellent. So, with that, what a lovely way to close. We've got Tim Packer of the Tim Packer Art Academy. Thank you so much for being on our show today and inspiring artists as entrepreneurs to stay dialed into both their creativity and the efforts of running a business. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure.